Hey YouTube, welcome back to Sweet Tea's Journey, episode 2. I think in episode 1 I left off with getting the actual diagnosis. So August 31st, 2022, I had an appointment to see my oncologist. The oncologist would tell me the type of treatment that I would receive, how long the process would be, and what I would have to go through. So I go in August 31st, me and my mom, and he comes in and he reads the report from the biopsy. And it is confirmed that I had primary mediastinal B-cell lymphoma. So he tells me that I will be receiving EPOC, which is the name of the chemo. The chemo is so potent that you have to be in the hospital during the time that it is infused, because they have to monitor your heart, they have to monitor your blood pressure, they have to monitor your kidney function, they have to monitor your platelets and your blood, to make sure everything is going the way that it's supposed to, make sure that you don't need any transfusions, checking your iron, checking your your calcium and your potassium to make sure everything is functioning the way that it's supposed to. Keeping in touch with your white blood cells to make sure that everything that is being diminished or reduced still has a fighting chance to help you get through the process. So he tells me all of this, and he tells me we're going to start treatment today, which would have been August 31st. And I'm like, treatment today? So he said, yeah, I'm going to do a direct admit. It's when you call the hospital, let the hospital know that you have a patient coming in for chemotherapy. So he called the hospital to let them know that I was coming in for chemotherapy, and I come home and I pack everything but the kitchen sink, because this is my first cycle. I don't know what to take. I don't know what to bring. I don't know what works with PIC lines. I don't know what works with ports. Do I do tank tops? Do I do sports bras? What type of clothing do I need to wear? So I packed everything. Everything that I could pack, I packed. And since it was hot here in Florida, I did wear a tank top because I knew that they would have to get to my arm to put in a PIC line. So the hospital called and told me that my room was ready. So I ended up going to the hospital, checking in at the nurse's station, and I think the first room was 643 or 645. But it was a huge room. And when you're on chemo and have to be hospitalized, you're in a room by yourself. So the room is big. You can't be in the room with anybody, because that would cause cross-contamination. It will also cause, other infections that you don't want to deal with, because your white blood cells is being diminished and everything else is being diminished, and they're wiping you clean. So being by yourself will keep down the risk of infection. So I get in the room and I put my stuff down, and the first thing I think about is, this is really happening. I think that's when reality set in, that chemo is about to start. And this is real life, that you really do have cancer, and you're really going to have to go through this. So I'm in the room, and I'm looking around the room. And one thing I do believe in is God. I do believe in Jesus Christ. I do believe that he died on the cross for my sins, and I also believe in prayer. I believe that when I talk to God, that things will happen that I can't even imagine, that he will give me more than I ever asked for, because of the things that I prayed for. So while I'm in the room, I'm praying. I'm praying for the nurses. I'm praying for the doctors. I'm praying for the pharmacist that's mixing up the chemotherapy. I'm praying for the aides. I'm praying for the housekeeper. I'm praying for every visitor that comes in my room. I'm praying for the social worker, for the kitchen staff. I'm praying for the entire floor. I was on the 6th floor at West Florida Hospital, so I'm praying for the entire floor, for every patient, because the sixth floor was the oncology floor. So I wasn't the only one, going through chemo, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody else was covered, because there were some people up there that didn't even have loved ones to visit them. I prayed for, anything and everything. I prayed for the room that I was in, that whatever spirit that was attached to that room would not be attached to me, that it would not interfere with my treatment, that it would not interfere with the things that I have going on. I don't know what happened in that room prior to me coming, but I knew that I had to set my room into be a sanctuary. I knew that it had to be a welcoming place in order for God to do what he needs to do, and for God to answer the prayers that I prayed for this process. And throughout this process, I asked God, if you would just give me your peace, I will be okay. So the nurse come in and she introduces herself, and she asked me if I had a port, which I did not. And the port is like a little small thing that goes under your skin. It goes under your skin where they can insert the chemotherapy as well as draw blood from it, and it's connected to your heart. I did not have a port, so they decided to order and put in a PICC line. A PICC line is something that just goes in your arm, in a major artery in your arm, or a major vein, excuse me, in your arm that goes into your heart. So the guy comes in and he put in the the PICC line, and now I'm ready to get started. So they come in and I have to take all these steroids, and I have to take all this Tylenol and things for nausea, and they come in and give me my medicine, the pre-meds, before the actually chemo started. So September the 1st was the actual chemo bag that I had. The bag ran for 4 days. Very slow bag. It was a 96-hour drip that I had. The chemotherapy was orange. So until this day, I really don't like orange items, because it just triggers something in me. But I know it's all mental. So for 96 hours, it's dripping. So my first treatment went very smoothly, and I was like, well, if all my treatments gonna be like this, then I'm ready. I'm ready to rock and roll, because all my treatments are gonna be this easy. So when the 5th day came, the oncologist explained that I could go home, but I would have to come back to the office within 48 hours to receive a new Lester injection. Um, New Lester injection helps rebuild your white blood cells through your bone marrow. So after discharge, I come home, and I feel weak. I feel fatigued. I feel tired. I feel drained. Um, and I was okay with that feeling. Like that feeling, I was okay with. So 48 hours pass, and I go to the office and I get the new Lester shot, not knowing what to expect with this new Lester shot, because again, I mean, I've never had it. So, excuse me, I know it just helps with rebuilding that white blood cell to help you fight off that infection, make sure those white blood cells are coming back to do what they need to be done in your body, to help you for your next cycle. So I get the new Lester shot, and there's bone pain. I, there's bone swelling. Did not know that this was going to happen. So I think about 48 to 72 hours after I had that shot, I began to hurt. I began to have pain from my head to my feet. The pain was so bad in my back and my hips that I couldn't sit up. I couldn't lay down. I remember it being a Sunday, because I called my mom and she couldn't go to church because I was just in tears. I couldn't reach my migraine medicine. I thought maybe it was just a migraine. I had a real bad headache. I had real bad pains everywhere. If you touch me, it hurt. So I couldn't even walk after the first injection. Like, I had to make myself get up and walk to the living room in order, to feel better, to sit up in a chair. So I had my family here, nursing on me through the pain. I took Tylenol. Tylenol did not touch the pain. I took ibuprofen. Ibuprofen usually put me to sleep, so that was the only way that I could have dealt with that pain. But this pain was excruciating. This pain was stabbing. This pain was constant. I could not get over this pain, and this pain lasted for about a week after I took that injection. But the most the most painful part was maybe 48 to 72 hours after the injection, not knowing what the first injection was going to be like. So they did give me Claritin that also helps with that joint pain. And my doctor mixed the Claritin with famotidine, which also helps with that joint pain. So that first week after that, it was just like, oh Lord, I have to go through this 5 more times because I need 5 more cycles. So after that pain surpassed, week 2 after chemo and week 3 after chemo, I felt really good. I felt like a brand new person. So that third week comes, and you know that you're gonna go back down because here comes cycle 2. So my first cycle, I prayed. Um, I asked God to continue to give me His peace that surpasses all understanding. I knew then after my first cycle that change was coming. I didn't like reality just didn't sit in my first cycle. Like, it was just something that I went through. I don't think reality actually set in until after my sixth cycle that I was actually going through this. But it was just an experience because it was something that I prayed that God would continue to keep me, that God would continue to give me His peace, that God would continue to cover me, that God would not only me but my family, um, my circle, my group of people that would call, that would pray for me, that would pray with me. I thank God for the intercessors in my life, even my church family. Like, everybody was making sure that I was okay. So when you go through chemo, make sure that you have a circle. Make sure you have a relationship with God first. Make sure you have a circle that's willing to intercede for you and pray for you. Now, I'm the type of person people say, well, Tia, do you need anything? And I'm like, no, I really don't need nothing. So, and they was like, well, you never need anybody to do anything for you. Yeah, because I'm always leaning and depending on God. I'm the giver. So it's really hard for me to receive. But prayer was the thing that got me through it. Worship was the thing that got me through it. My room, every room I was in, I prayed that God would make it a sanctuary. So I made every room a sanctuary. So when you came in that room, it was peace. It was not chaos. It was not discord, because that's something during that process that I wasn't going to be able to tolerate. Also, one important thing that I forgot, that I prayed over every chemo bag, pre-drugs and post drugs. I prayed over every bag. And even if I was slowful in praying for that bag, the nurses began to pray over that bag for me and with me until I was able to pick that up. So just know that when you're going through this process, God always have you on His mind. So this concludes my episode 2 of my first cycle dealing with primary mediastinal B-cell lymphoma. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, comment, and let me know if it's information you want to know about, and I'll make sure that I'm able to give you the answers to that information. Again, thank you for watching, and always know that whatever that you're going through, you're always on the mind of Christ. Bye.